Gold has never been just a metal. For most of human history, it has been the ultimate store of value, the foundation of empires, and often the silent witness to humanity's worst crimes. After the Second World War, more gold changed hands in secret than at almost any other moment in history. Gold belonging to governments, central banks, occupied nations, and ordinary people vanished into vaults that officially did not exist. The war ended with clear military winners. But behind the scenes, in diplomacy and finance, the real winners were often those who knew how to move wealth without leaving a trace. This is the story of how the world's most trusted form of money was stolen, smuggled, laundered, and hidden, and why some of it may still be missing today. To understand how so much gold could disappear, you have to remember what gold meant in the early 20th century. Before the war, much of the world's money was directly tied to gold reserves. Central banks held it as the ultimate guarantee behind their currencies. For nations, gold meant credibility. For individuals, it meant safety in a world that was about to collapse. As tensions rose in Europe during the late 1930s, governments that feared invasion began moving their gold abroad. The Netherlands quietly shipped more than 120 tons to Britain, Canada, and the United States. Belgium transferred hundreds of tons to locations it believed were secure. When Nazi Germany invaded in 1940, those calculations proved tragically optimistic. The Nazis moved quickly to seize the gold reserves of every occupied country. This gold wasn't just loot, it was fuel for war. Germany used captured gold to purchase critical supplies from neutral countries, especially Switzerland, whose banks were willing to accept it with minimal questions. The most infamous case involved Belgium's reserves. Before occupation, Belgium had entrusted 198 tons of gold to the Bank of France. When France fell, that gold was shipped to West Africa, then under Vichy control, supposedly for safekeeping. From there, it quietly found its way back into the Reichsbank, effectively financing the Nazi war effort. Other countries tried to stay ahead of events. Poland, anticipating invasion, carried out a remarkable evacuation of its gold, moving it through Romania and Turkey, and eventually to North America. Even so, large quantities of gold across Europe were captured, melted down, and stripped of identifying marks to erase their origins. And Germany was not alone. In Asia, the Japanese Empire was conducting its own campaign of plunder. Across China, Southeast Asia, and the Philippines, Japanese forces seized gold, silver, and cultural treasures. Much of it was allegedly hidden in tunnels and vaults, particularly in the Philippines, as part of what later became known as the Golden Lily Operation. Some of these stories drift into legend, but credible evidence suggests that significant amounts of precious metals were indeed hidden and never officially recovered. By 1945, as Allied forces advanced, both German and Japanese authorities scrambled to hide what remained. Some caches were found. American forces uncovered vast stores of stolen assets, including gold, in salt mines and underground depots. One of the most famous discoveries was the Merkers salt mine in Germany, where more than 100 tons of gold bars and coins were found alongside priceless artworks. But this was only a fraction of what had been taken. Most of the gold was already gone, traded, laundered through neutral banks, or buried in places that remain unknown. After the war, chaos created opportunity. Europe was in ruins, borders were shifting, and the Cold War was beginning. In 1946, the Allies established the Tripartite Gold Commission to return recovered gold to its rightful owners. Over decades, it processed about 336 tons. That sounds substantial. Until you compare it to the thousands of tons believed to have been seized during the war. The rest disappeared into private vaults, unacknowledged state reserves, and global financial networks. Neutral countries played a crucial role in this story. Switzerland, in particular, purchased large quantities of gold from Nazi Germany during the war. Later investigations showed that much of this gold had been looted, sometimes even from Holocaust victims. Similar accusations surfaced involving banks in Portugal, Spain, Sweden, and Turkey. The common thread was secrecy. At the same time, the early Cold War created demand for untraceable assets. Gold that could not be linked to official ledgers was extremely useful. There are persistent claims that some of the missing gold-funded intelligence operations, political movements, and friendly regimes, the gold did not vanish. It changed purpose. By the 1950s and 60s, gold remained central to the global financial system under Bretton Woods. Officially, reserves were declared and prices fixed. Unofficially, not everything was transparent. Countries rebuilding after the war often chose stability over questions about origin, and the mystery has never fully gone away. Even today, reports surface of hidden trains, buried vaults, or shipwrecks carrying wartime gold. Many turn out to be myths. Some are real. What is certain is this. Between 1939 and 1945, vast amounts of gold disappeared, never officially recovered. In today's terms, that represents billions of dollars. In human terms, it is a reminder that during crises, ownership and morality are easily suspended. The real lesson isn't about the gold itself. It's about the methods. The war showed how quickly wealth can be moved, hidden, and transformed when powerful actors decide the rules no longer apply. Those techniques didn't disappear. They evolved. They are still used today. For investors, the takeaway is uncomfortable but important. Gold may feel safe, but its safety depends entirely on where it is stored and who controls it. History doesn't repeat, but it does rhyme. And in times of stress, wealth doesn't vanish. It moves. The question is whether you see it happening in time. If this gave you a new perspective, subscribe to the channel. History has the answers. I'll show you where to look.